Sheikh Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, has also made a lot of noise about potentially invading or doing some kind of incursion on the ground into Israel, maybe the Galilee region, maybe a town like we're standing in right now. How feasible is that? Could there be a scenario that Hezbollah tries to do not a full-scale invasion, obviously, but a pretty significant ground incursion in the next conflict?
It is very likely, and we have to take very seriously the announcements that Nasrallah is making. We know that whenever he says something, he means that. Yeah. And the visibility, again, Eric, we are standing here, you could see it for yourself. Sometimes the distance between the next by Israeli community and the next by Lebanese community is less than a mile. Yeah. So if a group of Hezbollah will try to storm into a next by Israeli community, this is a very likely possibility. Yeah. It's a very viable possibility.
These communities are on top of each other, literally.
Yes.
I mean, we're right next door, Lebanon. Yeah. It's right there. If I want to go get a falafel in Lebanon right now, I could walk over and get it.
You know, some of them are even rubbing shoulders, sort of speaking. And it's very close one to the other, and we are taking it very seriously, so we should, because the motivation of the Hezbollah to do something like that is because of what we call the triumph picture. If the Hezbollah will be able to infiltrate Israeli territory, to take over even for a couple of hours an Israeli community, that will be the triumph picture that the Hezbollah and its leaders are seeking and
public
looking
relations
for.
Coup.
It's all about PR, it's all about the image, it's all about making yourself the name. By the way, it is the very same philosophy that guides Hamas that you mentioned earlier in the southwest part of Israel, because Iran and Hezbollah are the mentors of Hamas.
And Hezbollah takes it to a level even beyond Hamas, it seems.
Much bigger.
With their arms. Amazing to me, Avi, as you look across the region, Iran works always through proxies, whether it's Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, and they really have never been held accountable, I guess you would say, for all the havoc and the mayhem they've caused. You mentioned, they're sitting back in Tehran, they're feeling pretty good about themselves. So in the next conflict, how does it look? Because it's coming. Unfortunately, we, God forbid, but we know eventually, maybe 10 years from now, eventually it's going to break out again with Hezbollah. How does that next conflict look? It looks pretty nasty, I would think, and I wonder how much Iran directly gets involved or pays a price as a result of that conflict going forward.
Well, you very accurately you pointed out, Eric. Unfortunately, the Iranian mullah regime has been sitting quite, comfortable in Tehran for the last generation. He is activating proxies. He's paying money for proxies. He's funding and financing. And actually, when you look at the picture, for the last generation, this regime is cynically and gladly sacrificing Israelis and Palestinians and Lebanese and Syrians and Iraqis and Afghans that are fighting for the regime in Syria. We talked about it. While this regime is sitting very safe and sound in Tehran. The assumption is that the next round is around the corner. Nobody says or knows exactly when. As of now, we know that the Hezbollah is very much pre-engaged in Syria and actually is sinking in the Syrian mud. So the basic assumption is that the Hezbollah, as of now, is not going to open in another confrontation at the same time or another front with Israel. It's not the Hezbollah's interest, it's not the Iranian interest, but at the same time, we know that the Hezbollah, though engaged in the war in Syria, the Hezbollah maintains and develops its strategic capacities that in the end of the day are supposed to be used against Israel, obviously according to the Iranian instruction.
What happens in the Middle East does not stay in the Middle East, like you said, Avi. This is going to spill over. By the end, I think it's going to touch everywhere what's happening here. And one last thought, one last scary thought. Folks, imagine Hezbollah, as bad as they are now, rockets, missiles, carrying out terror attacks around the world. Imagine how emboldened and powerful Hezbollah could be if they had an Iranian nuclear umbrella to operate under. Iran is driving towards a nuclear weapon. That's the granddaddy, that's Hezbollah's patron, the Iranian regime. If Iran gets a nuclear bomb, that just empowers, emboldens Hezbollah even more. Avi Melamed, thank you so much, my friend. As always, pick up the book, Inside the Middle East. More to come. Stick around.